my friends, welcome. There are concerning developments in the political world, particularly on the global stage. One of the most concerning developments we have is the political alignment with right-wing U.S. figureheads and the political party of the United States, the GOP, and particularly Trump, and some right-wing pundits, with the political, moral, ethical values of Russia, the Russian state, and alignments with its figurehead, President Putin. I want to particularly address leftists here. Putin is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a socialist or communist figure. He is by no means a leftist, nor do I believe that he inherently cares about U.S. hegemony, and that solely it impedes the Russian imperialist interest. This is not a defense of the U.S. hegemony. But what this is a concerning analysis of the differing political bickerings in the United States in regards to Russia, and that one of the more concerning political positions in the United States is an allyship with Putin in his ethical, political, and moral goals. What does that mean? Putin, my friends, is a nationalist. He, like many of the GOP and right-wing figureheads in the United States, holds nationalist positions that also blame left-wing ideology and positions for the failure of that particular state. My friends, he aligns with fascist positions. The failure of the Russian state seeks to blame the outsiders, the particular interest groups who are causing Russia to fail. And he looks to achieve in the elimination of those groups. The same thing is happening here, my friends. Putin and Trump have the same relationship as Adolf Hitler and Italy's Mussolini. While two nation states can hold differing goals, they may also align with each other in the ethical and political positions, so that one overarching main goal may be achieved. Hitler and Mussolini bickered. Hitler and Mussolini had contradicting opinions and battles, but they aligned with a common goal. Here is this. What we are seeing in Russia is an oppression of many groups that the Russian state finds weak. LGBT, left-wing groups, not those of the nationalists who look back at the previous Russian history and glory. Those are left untainted. But Putin really does see left-wing interests, philosophy, and ideas as a threat to the Russian state, the capitalist state. Trump, in the midst of the American economy's failings, has sought to blame outside interest groups who control education, finance, a lot of the bureaucratic systems in the United States as the fault of America's failures. My friends, these are the same positions. One of the fears the right wing in the United States has had is pushing Russia into the arms of China. What is China? China is the state, is the penultimate state and arch enemy. It is the source. It is the globalist enemy that weans and acts as a Trojan horse for all of these postmodernist Marxist ideas to make their way into the United States. It is the penultimate superpower nemesis. And the right fears that our one moral ally of the world is being pushed into its arms. Because our traditional liberal allies, Europe, they're weak. They're not giving in to the United States. They're giving in, but they're not giving what the United States needs. Let me reference. Just recently, Trump has bemoaned Europe for its failure to pay its part into NATO. Trump sees the Western world as weak, and that the United States, in its strength, does not deal with weak parties. One could argue that Trump sees that Europe has fallen to postmodernist ideology, to the particular interest of the globalist world. It has weakened Europe. Europe is no longer sustainable in the U.S. position. Its views, its positions, it has altered values in ways that are estranged and different from the United States' moral values. The protection of its cultural, of the right-wing culture. And that goes back into patriarchal systems, to the destruction of left-wing ideology. It goes back a long ways, and Europe no longer aligns with those values. So what does the U.S. need to do? What would be the ultimate strategy? That is to find new people in the world who align with those values. And guess who does? Putin. Putin is a strong nationalist who identifies with his nation's culture, past, and history, the Orthodox Russians. He believes in the strong state, strong men, strong nation. He puts his country first. Europe is no longer engaging with those values. Doesn't believe in the strong man, the strong nation, and the strong grouping, even for that matter, because it's not all about the state, it's in the strong group. Do we all have the same values, culture, identity? That's what's important. We can find meaning in our strength. We can find equality in our strength. Not true equality, just equality among the same goals. And Putin is an example of what the United States right-wing party seeks. We have to preserve our culture. We have to preserve our might. We have to preserve our strength. Russia is doing just that. We can work together among these same goals to crush the globalist powers that seek to undermine our culture, our strength, and our power. We can do that, according to the U.S.'s right-wing party and figureheads. We can do that, right? So, these ideas traditionally only come out of a failing economic system. When the material conditions set stage for the radical ideas to take root, right? Fascism is capitalism's way arm of protecting itself from opposing interests. And fascism finds allies across the world against the one opposing ideology that seeks to usurp capitalism, and that is socialism. So, my friends, this 2024 election is an election against fascism, and so that we can see in evidence by what the U.S. right-wing party, specifically MAGA, seeks in its political goals. I don't necessarily fear a civil war in the United States, but I am concerned. My reason for that is that the material conditions in the United States do not really set the foundations for that. People still have a roof over their heads, currently. People still have food on the table. People are still okay. We still have a lot of material things that we don't need. Capitalism is still functioning, but it's at risk. So in defense of itself, we could start to see McCarthyism 2.0. And again, the United States seeking to align itself, to orientate itself with other nationalist countries around the world with similar values of uprooting this globalist ideology, this neo-Marxist ideology, they call it. So, my big concern, because of this alliance with a Russian figurehead like Putin, is that we may see a replication of some of his political systems. And that could be political oppression of certain groups within the United States. And my take on that is you should prepare yourself for that. You should economically and physically prepare yourself, if you are a leftist in the United States, for a scenario in which the government becomes hostile to you. That's it.
Here it is. If you want to go out and get it, you can go out and get it. Have fun with it. But people do like it, I must say.